Hi, my name is Hendley. I am in the Department of Political Science and Sociology. And the active learning strategy that I wanted to talk about today is called Sequence and Category Reconstruction. So first I have to give credit where credit's due. I got this activity not just out of my own mind, but in part from this great book that I think is available here at the Faculty Development Center called Teaching What You Don't Know by Teresa Houston. Great book. It has this strategy that I'll be talking about, but others as well. So I suggest you check it out if you haven't already. So this active learning strategy that I'm going to be talking about is also not just an active learning strategy, but it's also a really good sort of in-class assessment technique or activity to check in with your students and make sure that they are learning and comprehending what you want them to. Depending on how you structure it, it can be something that could be as quick as 5 to 10 minutes to do in class, or it could take a little bit longer, maybe up to 30 minutes. But that again just sort of depends on how you structure it. So teaching university studies classes, you probably all have seen things like this in the textbooks that you might be using. So timelines, various sorts of diagrams or flow charts, or tables like this that depict some sort of sequence of events or maybe of a process, or different categories, right, and features that would be a part of the categories or examples that would fall into them. So really the basic idea of this exercise is to have your students reconstruct the correct sequence, right, of events or of a process, or reconstruct what would fall under these different categories that you are discussing. So for instance, you might have them reconstruct, oh here we go, my reconstruction. You might have them reconstruct the stages of the water cycle. Or perhaps you might have them sort of correctly identify different features of micro versus macroeconomics. So you can have them do this in several different ways. One way that's probably quickest in class and also quickest for you in terms of preparation time is to put up sort of a jumbled mix of the steps in a process, events, or in this case, features of different categories. Put them all jumbled up onto a PowerPoint slide. So in this case, this is from my Intro to Sociology class. They're learning about different major theoretical paradigms within the discipline. So the different paradigms are listed at the top: conflict theory, functionalism, symbolic interactionism. And the idea is that this is a quick in-class assessment that you can do to see how well they're able to sort of figure out which of these examples and descriptions best fit under these different categories. All right, so this is an easy thing that you can do. You can have them look at it individually and come up with an answer, or maybe with a classmate. And then you can check in with them and ask for volunteers to tell you sort of what goes where. Maybe take a poll and see if others agree, but it's easy enough to do. Then, right, easy enough, next slide, right, that you would show would have kind of the correct sorting, correct categorization. Another way to do this, rather than putting it up on the screen, is to give them a handout. So same idea, where you would give them a handout with the jumbled up mix of events or steps of a process or features of a category. But rather than them having to write all of this down, the handout saves them a little bit of time, a little bit of work, because you've already written out these things for them. Right? On your end, maybe it might be a little bit more time to prepare and copy a handout, but not that much ultimately. So the handout is another good option for how to do this in class. The last option is maybe the most time-intensive, most preparation time for you, but on the other hand, it might have kind of the biggest benefits, is to have all the different individual pieces of this puzzle, right, that you're asking them to reconstruct, have them all typed out in pretty big font, so maybe 24 to 28 at least size font, and have them on their own individual slips of paper, like this. And in groups, then you can have your students work together as a team to reconstruct, again, the sequence of events or process or categories. But rather than just doing this on a handout, they're able to actually move these pieces around. So physically to kind of move these slips of paper and put things together in their correct order or fashion. This is neat because, again, it adds a little bit of extra kind of element of competition and fun and interaction within the classroom, which is always good. But it also actually enables you to be able to see sort of in real time which things they are most confident about because they're able to put them where they need to go most quickly, and which do they maybe hesitate on, which do they have sort of debates about. Right, so this is kind of a neat way to see that unfold. And you can walk around and check on them as they're working on this, and maybe offer a hint if they're stuck on something. But this is kind of a fun thing to do, and again, a little bit more interactive, and you can frame it more as kind of a competition between the students. So those are the three options, but in addition to those three ways to structure the activity, most basically, there are a few other potential decisions that you might make in terms of how to go about doing this and implementing this in your class. One decision for you to make would be, is this going to be maybe an assessment on a lecture that you just gave? So you present the material and then quick do a check of what they just have heard. Or maybe is it an assessment on the reading that they should have completed before class. Right, so maybe this was something that was discussed in the reading and you want to see without any sort of prior preparation and lecture on your part, how well are they able to make sense of what they read. So that's one decision. Another is, do you want to have them be able to use whatever readings or books might be available or not? Essentially is this closed or open book type activity. Right? That's again up to you. Finally, you might also consider, especially if you have something that's kind of like a table of two maybe categories, to add sort of an extra element of critical thinking and challenge to this activity. You might consider adding maybe a both or a neither category. And then of course you would have to come up with some extra examples or extra features that they would have to again kind of figure out, well, where do these fall, right? And this again makes it a little bit more challenging, makes it a little bit more complex than just reconstructing maybe the table that they initially saw in their textbook. But again, that's up to you. What ultimately is the most important, no matter how you do this exercise, is that you save time. Make sure you have enough time at the end of the class period or whenever you do this to go over what the correct reconstruction would be, right? To go over what the correct sequence of events would be, steps of the process, or categorization of features or examples that go along with a category. All right, so just make sure you save enough time. So that's the activity that I wanted to present for you today, and so I hope you can make good use of it and have some fun. Thanks a lot.